Hey, good evening and welcome to another edition of the Digital Strategist. I'm your host, David Muhammad, and once again, I have done it. I have scored another hot guest on my show. Tonight, I have the founder, CEO, and managing partner of a very cutting-edge social media agency based in New York City called Targeted Social. Mr. Corey Gottlieb is here with me tonight. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. My brother from another mother. Corey, let's kind of dive right in. Kind of tell me a little bit about your educational background, sort of how you got here, what you studied in school, and then we'll talk about your professional background a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm a Long Island kid, and decided to go off to school and ended up at University of Maryland.
Okay.
So
what town in Long
Island? Grew up in Levittown.
Levittown.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So
one of the first planned communities in America.
Yeah, and it was great. I mean, it was all kinds of people there, and everybody was just working, to try to better themselves. And I don't live far from there now, so it's a great atmosphere, and provided a great stepping stone to jump into college and beyond. So went to University of Maryland. Terrapins fan.
Terps.
Yep.
Go Terps.
Happen to have my two daughters there now, so they're enjoying it as well. And
what
I get
years
to go down.
Are they at?
One is a freshman and one is a junior, and I've already been to 2 football games. So
very nice. Very nice.
Now it gives me.
So
an
how does it
excuse
feel to have your kids at your alma mater?
It's a really comforting feeling because, when my daughter calls me and says I'm running late to class, I know exactly where the class is. I know how long it's going to take her to get there. I can picture her, joining in. So, it's exciting for me, and I can give advice that I wouldn't normally be able to give.
Yeah, you were there.
If I didn't know it. Also met my wife there, so that's and she went to school there. So it's a big family affair.
It's all the way around. Sure.
Yeah. Was a finance and computer science major at Maryland, and in those days, computer science meant that you would program in very basic languages, including BASIC, and
COBOL,
with
Pascal,
Fortran, COBOL, and BASIC. That was my thing.
Wow.
And I had punch cards, and I'll tell you a quick story. I'm on my way to a final exam.
So the famous IBM punch cards?
I had a stack
of
200 punch cards. And I'm on my way to my final exam, and they're not really labeled that well, right? It comes out of a punch card machine.
Okay.
And I'm running to class, and they just end up on the ground. And I'm looking at my final exam, and there's no way that I can put these back in order because they have to go back in order. That was the day that I decided not to be a computer science major and switch over to finance.
Okay. Sort of light bulb moment.
That was it, right there. And I think I left them right there on the floor. So anyway, graduated from University of Maryland. My dad was an accountant. He gave me the good advice that you should always be on the income side of the business, not the outgo side of the business.
Very good.
And I decided to get into sales. So it was a matter of what I was going to sell. Started my career off at a company called Katz Communications.
Sure. One of the great media buying firms in American history, right?
They're a sales organization. So we used to represent television stations all over the country. So a station in Lubbock, Texas, how are they going to get their Kraft General Foods money? They have representatives like us, calling on the big clients on their behalf. So I used to represent, 120 stations at a time, and go to the big clients and figure out which markets they want to put money in. Ad agencies and clients direct.
So you actually pitch the clients direct, the brands direct with Katz.
That's absolutely wherever the money is, you have to go and
That's what I'm
find
talking
it.
about. That's what I'm talking about.
So after several years of doing that, I moved up to larger markets and worked at ABC. So they're owned and operated stations, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and so forth.
So you were at ABC Networks, or?
It was actually the ABC company owns television stations.
Sure.
So Channel 7 here in New York is an owned and operated station, and they have several across the country. So I represented all the stations that they owned and operated. So instead of being a third party representing, we just represented the stations that we owned.
The internal brands.
Yeah, so great experience. After 6 years, stepped up the game a little bit and moved into the national sales arena.
Wow. So I can see this. I can kind of see a through line here through broadcast media, how through sales, you were able to sort of transcend through the various levels.
Well, yeah, I mean,
was it because of your performance, the money you were bringing in, or just the strategies you were coming up with, or both?
I think it's a little bit of everything. Experience obviously helps. Working hard and accomplishing your goals is important in any, venue. venue. So, once you get that opportunity and your name becomes known in any industry, not
Start
just
ringing
television.
bells. Yeah, this guy Corey Gottlieb knows what he's doing.
You hope that happens. I mean, that's, it's always important to have a good reputation and make sure that happens. It's a great way to advance in your career. So I decided to get into the national marketplace. The same thing, selling advertising, but now there were more zeros on the end of it. So I worked...
Bigger commissions too?
Yes. I became the head of sales for Paramount Pictures Television.
Wow.
And we had shows like the Arsenio Hall show.
Love it.
We had Star Trek. That was the big one.
A great show.
We launched Deep Space Nine during that time, and The Next Generation. And then
some pretty epic shows.
Awesome. And I still watch them now.
I mean, sort of land breaking, like when you talk about Arsenio Hall, you talk about land breaking, then you talk about Star Trek. You're continuing to extend the brand and a great franchise. So
yeah, so if you think about like a show like Arsenio Hall, which was really interesting and really kind of gives you a full picture of what this business is all about in terms of sales. When Arsenio Hall was first coming out, we had to go out and sell it almost a year before it ever launched the air. So who was Arsenio Hall before he had this television show? Maybe a successful, Canadian stand-up, but
been on Solid Gold, I think.
Right, but I'm going to throw some old names out there. But there was this guy Johnny Carson who was the king of late night.
I love Johnny.
So you go into an advertising
He was
agency.
the funniest guy on TV. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So you go into an advertising agency and you have 96 units a week to sell, and you go up to somebody and say, "I've got this new guy, Arsenio Hall, and he's going to take over late night," and they look at you like with one of those looks.
Right. Okay.
Right. Anyway, so
Next.
I guess the rest is history. Obviously, he launched successfully.
He blew up. The whole thing happened.
It was a great run, and then I became the first head of sales for the UPN network when it launched. So
Oisha.
First it was Star Trek, of course, and then it was. Now I'm going to reach back. Now it was The Watcher.
I don't remember The Watcher.
We had
and I'm the keeper of mindless trivia. You got me with The Watcher.
Pigsty and Platypus Man, a Richard Jenny show.
I remember Platypus Man.
And
was that have animation?
No.
Okay,
no.
It was all okay.
Anyway, so there was 2 hours of regular programming. Then we switched over the second year to shows like Moesha and your favorite, I know, Homeboys from Outer Space came soon after that.
You talk about cinematic, excellence. The Homeboys from Outer Space.
That was pretty much the pinnacle of my career. It's been downhill ever since.
Hey, what do you do after that? I mean, come on.
Nothing. But it was an interesting job. Not only did we go out and sell the advertising, obviously, on a new and emerging network, where first you had to tell people why there was room for a new network and what a new network is. But every time you come out with a new show, you have to go and talk about what the show is going to be about
Sell
and why
twice
it's going to be
almost.
successful.
Yeah,
sure, because everybody's got to buy into the concept before you actually get the ratings and prove it out.
Of course.
So that was exciting, lots of fun. I did that for 7 years, and
that's a long run as a head of sales at a TV network, dude.
There's people who have
been
a longer
longer,
tenure, but
the wheel's kind of fast there.
And I was a young guy too. I mean, I had a great opportunity and I took advantage of it. But I always felt that there was something more out there, and in the world of media, it's not just television.
But you grew up in TV, though. Sounds like.
Well, the first 13 years of my career was TV, and then I did something unprecedented. I gave him a year's notice and told him I was leaving, and I had no other plan other than to find something better. And after being
you'd conquered TV.
I wish I had conquered
well,
TV,
you know what
but
I mean.
I did well. I got great experience. I had a good reputation, and I wanted to see if I could go out and market it somewhere else. So ultimately.
What was next?
Found a job as the head of sales for what is now CBS Outdoor. So every time you're driving by these billboards that say CBS on the bottom, or stickers on the sides of buses in Midtown,
everywhere,
subways all around the country and all around the world, I was the head of sales. So I had hundreds of salespeople all around the world. Used to go out and make sales calls and meet people everywhere.
So you went from broadcast media to out of home.
Right, right. Which was, people thought I was crazy, but I thought it was a good move. My sales force was bigger. My average sale was a lot smaller, but we made a lot more of them, and it was a great challenge.
So you're like a master of reach then. So you really understand the concept of reach and targeting really well, having been in broadcast, selling broadcast, and having to go into out of home. So is that something that you had to leverage a lot throughout your career, this whole reach and targeting sort of?
Well, that's one of the basic pillars of advertising, right? So people in advertising pay predominantly for reach. They want.
What is reach?
They'll pay more people. Well, reach is very simply, how many people can you reach with this message?
Thank you.
Right?
Okay.
So whether it be a billboard on a very busy road like the Long Island Expressway, where you can reach 300,000 people a day, is that more valuable than a billboard on US 1? Where it reaches 20,000 people a day? Yes, it is, because you have more reach. And the more people you reach, the more valuable that is. So when you talk about, reach, it really permeates to everything. And, even in my world of social media, which we're
going to get into the second segment, of course.
That
we're laddering to that.
Yeah, no, but
tease them a little bit.
But reach is certainly one of the two components of advertising. It's why people pay as much money as they do for the Super Bowl units.
So it's all about
reach.
the
largest reach vehicle in television. So people pay the highest prices for the largest reach. So
you broadcast TV, out of home, worldwide head of sales for CBS Outdoors. What was next?
So then, as with many people in careers, you
reach a plateau.
Well, you either reach a plateau or there's a merger. In this case, there was a merger. So
can you say corporate restructure?
Corporate restructuring is a better way to put it. But usually, when there's one top position and there's two people vying for it, one person gets it.
Sure.
In this particular case, it made me decide to become an entrepreneur. So, which was kind of exciting for me. I'd done a lot of good work on the corporate side, and I've always thought about being an entrepreneur, so I figured, this is my time.
And your dad, as an accountant, was he an entrepreneur?
No, corporate guy the whole time.
9 to 5 whole day, sure.
Military guy, corporate guy, just show up
by
and
the
work
numbers,
and,
right.
Make sure it happens. So, I decided to become an entrepreneur, and I met a few guys. They had an idea to put screens in the back of taxi cabs.
Yeah, I remember this. Was this like late 90s, early 2000s when this was happening?
This was exactly that time.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, so
I didn't like it at first, but now it's ubiquitous, and so what are you going to do?
Well, it was an interesting ride. So in 2000, we introduced this concept to the Taxi Limousine Commission. We went to
TLC.
other cities.
Yeah,
TLC. We went to other cities like San Francisco, Boston, Chicago. Introduced
all big
it there.
taxi markets. Yeah.
All markets where we saw an average number of users above 78 per day, or average number of passengers per day in a cab over 75, 78. And that was important because, again, under the reach concept, you have a screen in front of somebody. If it reaches nobody, nobody cares. But if the more people it reaches, the better off you are.
Very
so I think the story is well documented at this point. We introduced the technology, went out and started selling advertising, trying to get the New York City Taxi Limousine Commission to approve the disbursement of these in every cab. And ultimately, through 5 years of pushing, we got it approved in every cab, and we sold back in 2005.
How many cabs around the country now would you estimate that this technology's in?
Wow, it's a great question. I mean, there's
just rough number.
I don't know, maybe a rough number, 30, 40,000 cabs.
That's pretty big. That's a game changer. We're gonna pause right here,
okay,
and take a break for about 60 seconds and get this great PSA. Then when we come back, we're gonna take a really deep dive into what's been going on in your career with targeted social and some of the great things you're doing in the social media agency space. And we'll be back in 60 seconds with Corey Gottlieb. I'm David Muhammad, and this is The Digital Strategist.
After 17 years working as a mason, Mike was laid off. I met him when he came into the library looking for help. He found a job opening, but the application was only online. Mike said he'd spent his entire life around tools, but had never used a computer. I showed him how, and he ended up applying for numerous jobs online. I saw Mike the other day. His new computer skills paid off. He's working again.
New Jersey libraries are transforming lives. Tell us your story.
Welcome back to The Digital Strategist. I'm your host, David Muhammad, and my very special guest tonight is Corey Gottlieb, the founder, CEO, and managing partner of a New York City-based cutting-edge social media agency called Targeted Social. Corey, tell me a little bit about, in the last segment we were talking about your last great stint as an entrepreneur where you took touch screen technology, tied it into EDI so folks can use their credit cards in the back of taxi cabs. And there are upwards of 50,000 or so of these floating around the United States, and so the transactional experience in a taxi cab has been made that much more seamless and that much more digital. And so that was a great entrepreneurial breakthrough. and a great innovation on your part. Kudos.
Thank you.
So that's back in like '07 though, right?
Yeah.
Dude, that's like a million years ago in the digital space.
I had hair and it was dark back then.
So what you've morphed into now is like this social media sort of targeting guru guy. So tell me about targeted social.
So yeah, I'd say, back in '08, a little thing called Facebook was being developed in some college dormitory in this little school called Harvard or something.
This guy Zuckerberg, I think we've all heard of this.
Yeah, we've heard the story a little bit. But
great movie too.
Oh, great movie. So what interested me in that was that it was a game changer for advertising.
Totally.
Advertising to that point was always about the advertiser messaging out, throwing a signal up in the air and hoping that the right people catch it. And you never really got to hear what the feedback was unless the cash register was ringing. But you could never draw a direct correlation to that ad being served and the cash register ringing.
Yeah, what was the return on investment, the direct ROI?
Yeah, tough to tell.
You couldn't.
There was really no direct correlation. So obviously digital media started to change that by at least having an ad served on a computer and somebody could actually click through and make a purchase.
So there's some analytics associated with that behavior.
So beginning of that, but social media was really cool because all of a sudden it wasn't an advertiser throwing an amorphous signal out there for you to buy something. It was more of a conversation. And then once the recipient gets that conversation, you and me as consumers, if we like what they're saying, we would pass it along to our friends. And all of a sudden, you're more likely to buy something if you're, think about a car or something you'd go out and buy, or a television set. You go, hey, how's that new TV you bought? Oh, it's great. You got to buy it. And that's what makes social media so amazing is everybody becomes a brand evangelist, and your circle becomes much bigger, and you become more influential. So that's kind of what started getting me excited about it. What really was a game changer for me, going back to our reach discussion, is all of a sudden Facebook started to be that single destination on the internet that had large reach.
Billion users.
Well, billion users now, but 200,000, 300,000. We've seen the progression.
Sure.
So, all of a sudden, it's this massive reach vehicle. And that's what really started to excite me, is it became something that, based on my background, I understood greatly.
Yeah, sure.
And then it had this new age technology that, I can jump into and try to innovate with.
So you saw the platform maturation and convergence of a couple of things that really kind of got your juices flowing, and you said, well, I think I could build a business around this. So very exciting stuff when you talk about the platform maturation and convergence that was going on in several different technologies that allowed you to really exploit the reach capacity of Facebook along with great targeting. So kind of talk about that a little bit.
Right, so what became important for Facebook is it was this thing that jumped out into the scene, and all of a sudden advertisers were saying, I got to be in it. I'm not sure what the opportunities are, but I know I have to be there because everybody else is there.
Right.
And so the opportunity for us was to be that person, that agency that can help clients get into Facebook. Facebook had a nice little self-serve platform at the time. Anybody can swipe a credit card and buy advertising, or you can go to a Facebook rep. But at that time, only the big guys.
What year are we talking here?
This is 2009.
Wow. Okay.
So
so recently.
Yeah, and only the big guys really got the opportunity to speak to a Facebook rep if they had a certain amount of money to spend. So there was this massive market.
What was that? Like 100,000?
It was 100,000 a month
to get in.
To get in, and commitments of 3-4 months at a time, and literally.
So
just
a real
the
advertising commitment, sure. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden we saw most clients don't have that kind of commitment. I knew that from my days in television, even on the national side. Nobody's making. There are clients that make those kinds of commitments, but fairly new technology, nobody's not en masse going to jump in.
They're not looking to guinea pig themselves and take that dive.
Right, right. So what we became was this middle person, the people who are experts in what's available in Facebook, staying on top of all the nuances and all of the enhancements that came out, and we would help execute those buys for clients.
How do you do that?
So in the beginning, we literally went into the self-serve model that anybody else could have gone into. But
you bought at a certain rate and sold at another rate.
But that's all we did. And so we understood the targeting technology a lot better. We understood how to deliver cost-effective and efficient campaigns. As time went on,
what are some of the elements that involve delivering a cost-effective and efficient campaign on Facebook?
So the beauty of
creative. What are some of the
so the beauty of Facebook, as we look at it now, is that it's a massive reach vehicle. It's 1 billion people.
Billion plus users. Yeah.
But you can target so acutely that I think it's the most powerful advertising tool available. If you wanted to find a person of a particular gender, in a particular geographic, at a particular age, I mean, you literally can target your advertising messages right down to almost an individual person.
So
with
very
zero
granular targeting elements.
Very large reach with the ability to slice and dice it into very granular targeting. So then you say, okay, well, if I have that ability, how do I make it more relevant for David? If I want to advertise to a male who's living in this area, who's about your age, what's the messaging? Because the messaging would be different for you than it would be for somebody who may be 20 years younger than you.
So
and maybe
Facebook's
not.
kind of delivering on this one-to-one marketing promise they've been talking about for 20 years, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
This whole personalized sort of one-to-one.
absolutely personalized. And what we do is write
Allows the brand to get into that small window.
And it allows the brands to have specific messaging geared towards a particular mindset of the recipient. So if somebody is into the New York Jets, as I am,
I like the Jets.
I can target all the Jets fans out there. If they identify themselves in Facebook as somebody who likes the Jets, I can target them.
Through keyword in their profile, through keywords in posts.
So this is the really exciting part. So the traditional Facebook advertising model was a window that they opened up which gives you keyword targeting, which is really a way to find particular groups of people based on their likes and interests. It allowed you to find demographics, age ranges, and geographics, where people lived and so forth. Now all of a sudden, they opened up a second window into the advertising called the Facebook Exchange. FBX. And what that allows you to do now is target people behaviorally. What type of websites have you been on recently? Have you been looking for a camera? Because my client is Canon, and I'm going to, target all of those people who are looking for cameras out there.
So retargeting comes to Facebook through FBX.
Exactly.
In a third of all traffic on the web at Facebook, or something like that, 27%. Some gaudy number.
Like around 40% of all the clicks on the internet are through Facebook.
That's nuts, man.
It's crazy. But you have 1 billion people spending an average of 55 minutes a day on Facebook,
that's nuts.
And everybody's got something to do there. So at the same time, ads are being served and being responded to in great rates.
What are some of the technologies that targeted social brings to market? You don't have to give away any of your secret sauce or anything. I'm not asking for that. But are there some API techniques or some, what do you guys do to this?
Yeah, so first you said API. So that essentially what Facebook did is they grew their ecosystem by allowing companies like ours to program against their platform, and they give those APIs, those keys, so that we can go in and pull the data we need in order to make efficient campaigns.
So you actually have a key into the Facebook algorithm, as it were, to optimize your own campaigns.
Essentially, yeah.
Wow. So you're like a trusted sort of partner.
Right. So now when clients come to us,
awesome.
we have really good advanced technology.
There's not many agencies out there that have that sort of API relationship with Facebook.
There actually are a bunch of them now.
Okay.
So now the differentiator is what you just asked, which is, okay, what's your advanced stuff? Like, what's the cool stuff you're doing out there, right? So, we've got a lot of cool stuff. So, we have ways of clustering keywords together, call that the keyword cluster program. We have a way of making sure that when you post something as a brand, that we, amplify that to at least 50% of your fan base all at one time. That's another product called Audience Amplifier. We have a way that if you have a particular keyword that that's worked well for you in a campaign, we can put into our keyword expander tool, and all of a sudden it will basically look at the DNA analysis of the keyword. Let's say it's the New York Jets. So I've got 2 million people associated with that keyword, the New York Jets. What else do they like? Who are these people? What are their average age group? What gender are they?
So you tap into the genetic makeup of the keyword.
And then we find hundreds of other keywords that have a similar genetic makeup and put those into campaigns. So there's a lot of advanced technology going on.
How does this play itself out on mobile?
So mobile is a great addition because now, I saw a statistic.
Easy for you to say.
Not really. That 50% of all of the Facebook users are, accessing Facebook on mobile.
Everything's on the mobile communication device.
Right.
Sure.
So now we're able to put these ads on mobile. They go into your news feed.
Right into the news feed.
Yeah, the click-through rates have been 10 times what we've seen on desktop.
You gotta imagine mobile and the news feed. Yeah, imagine.
So it's great. I mean, it just gives us more and more inventory to sell and more opportunities for advertisers. And that's one of the differentiating factors is why somebody would come to a targeted social is since now there's so many different ways to target people, so many different ways to get your messaging across, a company like ours is really a partner in it. And we would sit there and we would try to figure out ultimately what you're trying to achieve in your advertising and who you're trying to reach. And then we'd go through all the tools that are available either through Facebook or proprietary to targeted social, and we put a comprehensive campaign for you together.
Who are some of the clients, what are the type of clients that you work with? Agencies, brands, both?
So
digital media agencies?
We work with large digital media agencies. We have a lot of clients we work directly with. One of our things at Targeted Social is we don't refuse anybody's business. We don't have minimum spend commitments. I'm not this big guy who you can't talk to me because I don't have enough.
So you'll work with a very small.
We work with everybody. If it's not working for you, you cancel at any time. This is a platform that works, and we've built our business based on that.
What are a couple of other channels? Are you in sustainability, politics? Are there any other channels that you are applying your technology into?
So one of the things that we decided to do is take our core competency, advertising in Facebook, slicing and dicing audiences, and move it into, and make it available in different avenues. So we created a company called Socialytical.
Socialytical.
And we've been very successful.
In a presidential campaign
We've been very successful in the campaign cycle.
I'd imagine you would. It's
using
very
this targeting to find people in Facebook.
So is that socialytical.com?
That is GetSocialytical.
GetSocialytical.com, okay.
And then we just created another avenue because it's always good to give back and be part of a community called EcoSocial, and that would be facebook.com/beecosocial. And the value proposition there is companies all around the world are looking for ways to lower their carbon footprint and also leave a positive impact on the community. So now, with the money they spend in advertising, if they do it through EcoSocial and advertise, on the Facebook platform, we take a portion of the dollars that you spend as an advertiser, and we use that to fund real environmental projects that actually positively shape the communities that you're trying to reach anyway. So most of the, right now we've identified a school in Denver that we're going to put a growing and sustainability center on. It's an inner city school with limited funding, and now they're going to get this great, opportunity. And the customers and the brands that we work with are going to get to stand up in front of the community and
get all that halo effect. Sure. So not only bright and advanced, but you got your heart in the right place as well. So Targeted Social, I guess, would be the main brand, but then I guess you have those two sort of offshoot brands: the Eco Social and then the Socialytical.
Exactly.
Very good, very good. Corey, thanks for coming out and hanging out with us tonight
pleasure.
on
This
the
was
Digital
great.
Strategist.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. You've got to come back again and kind of keep us abreast of things that are occurring in the social media advertising marketing space. So
Would love to. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming out. So I'm David Muhammad, the host of the Digital Strategist, and thanks for coming out. I'd like to say goodnight to my wife Jessie, Madison, David, and Naomi. Thanks. Good night.